I do not recommend having AI write your entire book for you. There are tons of books in the marketplace now in which AI has written the books for the respective authors. And the quality is not nearly as good because the human element has been removed. You want your book and your story to sound like you. Your story is too valuable to be echoed and parroted by a machine. If you're someone that wants to get tips and tricks to effectively get your book published, perhaps you're an aspiring author, you're starting from scratch, you're a bit confused, you want to get a surefire path to getting your book done, be sure to subscribe to the Getting the Win show. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe at Getting the Win. If you're listening on podcast, subscribe on Spotify. I am officially on Spotify, so you can find me on audio. Let's get into the show. Good evening. Happy Wednesday, my winners and goal getters. Welcome back to the Getting the Win show. I'm your host, Melissa T, the Procrastination Bully. If this is your first time, welcome. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. The show runs on average 30 to 40 minutes, but sometimes we go a little over. Things get spicy and I start waxing deep. But thank you so much for tuning in. Now, in today's episode, I'm going to walk you through the book building process. If you've been tuning in over the last few episodes, I've been leading you through the process of creating your book, starting with the foundation and all the things you need to get in order for that first step so that you're not wasting your time when you're finally getting into this step of the process, which is the writing. So we went over the foundation. Then I went over the first pillar, which is the outline and deadline, right? Or the definite date, for those who prefer a more positive way to phrase that. So we went over the outline and the definite date, setting that in place first. So then now when you're coming into this pillar, which is book building, then all you're doing is following the outline that you already created. Okay. So now that we're here, I'm going to walk you through this particular pillar, the creation of the book, the creation of the content. This is the part that authors tend to dread. This is the part where the procrastination starts, like, oh man, where do I start? How do I start? This might take too long. My schedule is too busy. There are workarounds for all of these things, okay? So for one, the where do I start? Just refer back to the outline you created in the previous pillar, in the outline and deadline pillar, okay? The book blueprint. Go back to that. Go back to your outline. And even if you don't feel like going in linear order, you're not required to. You can start from whichever part of the outline jumps out at you first, whatever is speaking to you the loudest, whatever that topic is that is within your outline. Pick that. And I would personally recommend starting with a story. Here's why. We as human beings love stories. We love telling them and we love to hear them. So it's a lot more natural when you're talking through your book to start off with a story. Or even if you're someone who prefers to type it, go ahead and type. Like start with typing a story because you'll get caught up in it just as you tell it because you're wired to enjoy them. You know, even if it's your experience and you're living back through it, even if the experience is something that is painful, you'll still be drawn into it because it is an experience. It's something you're seeing. It's something you're reliving. So it'll be very easy for you to get those first words out. And remember, if you've been following this show for a while, one thing that I hammer home a lot is that the hardest part of beating procrastination is starting. So beating that initial inertia, that is the toughest part of it. So starting with a story helps you through that inertia. It gets you through that first block to start. It removes that friction. And again, to add an extra layer on top of that, in terms of habit stacking, if you need to, schedule a work session with somebody that you know and trust. Someone that maybe you've been talking to about getting this book done and they're tired of hearing you talking about it, but not doing anything. So perhaps contact that person and say, can you just block out a solid 30 minutes with me? Like, I may not even write for 30 minutes, but can you just block out 30 minutes with me and make it a Zoom call or a Google Meet? like a Google Meet video conference, and like hashtag it on that. Once you're in the video call, queue up a Google Doc, a blank Google Doc, save it under whatever name that will help you easily remember and reference it for your book. Obviously, you may not have a book title yet. There are some who don't come up with that till afterward, after all the material is written. If you're someone who prefers to come up with the title before you start writing, then let that be the first step in your process. In this particular book building process, like create the title as the first step in your book building process. If that's something you need before you start writing, let that be the first step. And then that second step, that's when you get on that accountability call, that work session with your accountability partner, so that you can start actually producing the content of the book. Now, if you're someone who doesn't like typing, you find it boring, it's too slow, maybe you're someone that doesn't type very fast, the cheat code that many authors use now is voice recording. And that's something I recommend with all of the authors I work with. Voice record your book, even if you're somebody that prefers to type. You're looking at somebody with that preference. I much prefer to type. However, statistics show that the average person speaks 150 words a minute. So in 10 minutes, you can knock out 1,500 words. That's a decent amount of words, considering the fact that the average nonfiction book is 20,000 to 50,000 words. So if you're starting at the low bar of 20,000, 1,500 words is already 3% of your book in just 10 minutes. So that's definitely doable. That's something you can knock out. That's something you can squeeze into your already ridiculously busy schedule. Between the kids and the spouse, or just the kids if you're a single parent, and the job and the business, working, whether you're working in it or on it or both, it's 10 minutes is something you can squeeze out. Perhaps it's right before bed. Perhaps you're telling a story that's relevant to your book, an experience that you're recalling for just 10 minutes. Just record that on your phone or on your other mobile device, a tablet, whatever the case may be. 10 minutes. That's a start. If you have more to carve out, like say, for instance, that accountability partner is able to give you 30 minutes, then by all means, start with 10, mute your mic. That way they're not necessarily hearing you talk through your book. They can be working on whatever tasks they need to work on during that 30-minute block. And they have the peaceful concentration. So you mute your mic during the Zoom call or the Google Meet conference call or whatever other video conferencing solution you're using, and just record. Start with stories. Start with stories. So if you want to create a step, this is a bonus step. Write out like bullet points of relevant stories that are going to work in your book. And this is going to help you not only in the writing of your book, but also when you promote it and when you get booked to speak about it. Even if you're not necessarily looking forward to speaking on stages, when we get to the marketing pillar, you're going to have to promote your book. So either podcast interviews, local press interviews on television or on radio. Write bullet points of the relevant stories that you want to tell that are connected to your book. That way, slide those bullet stories into the outline as well. You have a section with chapters. You're able to slide in that bullet like, okay, I know in this chapter, I want to tell this story. In this chapter, to back up this point, I want to tell this story. Okay, so that's a step you can add in there. So if you're someone that must come up with your title first, let that be step one for you. Come up with the title first. Step two, this is that bonus step. Revisit your outline and then write bullet points of relevant stories that you want to add into your book. Whatever chapter, whatever section those relevant stories would fit in, jot them in there, like add them into your outline so you can see them with your eyes and not forget them. And then now, once you get to that step of book building, the actual content, revisit your outline and pick the story or stories you want to record and click record. And by the way, record those as separate files, okay? Don't try to don't think you have to do one recording with your entire book where you're talking the whole book. Because if you're someone who consumes audiobooks, you'll see the average runtime of an audiobook is 4 to 6 hours. Some of them run 8 or 9 if they're bigger. So don't think you have to have one continuous recording. No, I would strongly recommend doing individual recordings. That way the book is broken up and then you title your recordings accordingly. So when you go back in your phone or your mobile device to look for the recordings, you're not like, what was this about again? So you record one story, put a title on the story so you remember what it is. Okay. When you're about to dictate your words, what you do is queue up a Google Doc now, that blank one that you titled, and then go under Tools and look for the dictate function. That's what it's called in Google Docs. If you're using Microsoft Word, they have a voice to text function in there as well. You'll see it. It's in the form of a little microphone. And what you do when you have your blank page, you've named the file so you can easily locate it the next time. You hit that microphone so that the software is ready to record. You queue up whatever story on your mobile device that you recorded and press play. You'll see the words populate on the page. That's the quickest way to get over that blank page syndrome. Voice record, starting with a story, because it's easy to tell a story and be as detailed in your story as possible. Because remember, these are people that are going to read your story. So they're not in your experience with you. So the more detailed you can be, the better. And press play. That dictate function in Google Docs or that voice to text function in Microsoft Word, you'll start to see the words populate the page. And I would say one at a time, do this. Once you're done with that recording, read back through it and clean it up. Because of course, these voice to text and dictate functions are AI, and it's the most basic form of AI. It's not even ChatGPT level. Like, this is basic. So it's not going to pick up all of your words properly. So you'll want to read back through what it spit out and fix it in to the degree that you're comfortable with, even if grammar is not your strong suit. Maybe you're a numbers person, or maybe you just find editing text very boring. Don't worry about it. Just go through and catch the stuff that the AI didn't pick up. Fill in the words that it didn't pick up properly, and add your periods and spaces just so that to your eyes, it makes sense. You can read it and understand it. And then go to your next one. Whatever that next recording is, click the little microphone button again. And then on your mobile device, hit play on the next recording that you want to dictate. You'll see the words appear on the page. Okay. So just to give you guys a preview into what I'm talking about, I do believe I mentioned in a previous episode that I am working on a book, and the deadline, the definite date for the rough draft, the first draft of the manuscript to be completed, is May 31st. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see what this looks like, okay? And as I mentioned in a previous episode, this book prep that you're doing, it doesn't have to be polished, all right? It's not, this is something that only you are going to see. So let me bring this up for you so you can take a look at it. So you should be able to see this particular page. You see the text there. You see some of the paragraphs. So as you can see, this gigantic block of text right here, this is what I mean. This was a voice recording that I hit the little dictate microphone icon in Google Docs to receive, and I pressed play on my phone. This was a voice recording where I was breaking down an assessment. You guys have heard me talk about the extreme execution flight assessment, and I go into it for this book. So these big blocks of text are things that I'll be editing to clean up so it's more spacious to look something a little more like these, where the paragraphs are smaller, much smaller, and has more white space. Okay. And what I would recommend you do is just a quick, it doesn't have to be as long as what you're seeing here, but just a quick description of whatever that paragraph is, whatever that paragraph is supposed to mean for that recording that you just had it dictate. Just put a quick heading on top of it so that you, when you're coming back to it, can know what that paragraph was. That way you're not, you're not confused as to what your content was. So see, this is another massive block of text. These are all recordings. So I'll be going back in and cleaning these up and breaking them up into paragraphs that I can read and understand. Okay. So as you can see, it's not difficult or complicated. And if you want a step-by-step process, I've got you, because my Voice Fuel virtual writing workshop is coming up again at the end of May, the last Tuesday in May. So that'll be from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Just look below. You'll see the link there to sign up. And it will also be in the description. That way you can sign up and register for that workshop. And I'll walk you through that process as well. Okay. It's not as complicated as you think it is. And remember, this is something you're doing at 10 minutes at a time at minimum. You can fit in 10 minutes to record the content for your book. And again, start with stories, because you can naturally start talking. If you're someone that prefers to type, you can naturally start typing. Okay. So that's cheat code number 1 with the voice recording thing. Another cheat code in the content creation for your book is grabbing data. If whatever you're sharing, you want to back it up with data, with numbers, with survey results, things like that, statistics, this is where AI can be a great tool for you. So ChatGPT is one tool that you can use. Another tool is perplexity.ai. I think I've mentioned both of these in previous episodes. But either one of these tools will help you in researching statistics for your topic. So whatever that is, and if it's ChatGPT, I need you to be very specific about the role that you want Chat to play for you. Okay? Like, let it know that you are a researcher for, I don't know, Harvard or something prestigious, or if you want to, you can give it the example of a New York Times bestselling author that's relevant to your topic. So, for example, my topic, I'm writing a book on productivity, right? So I would use a New York Times bestselling author like Mel Robbins or Cal Newport as an example. That way, ChatGPT will know what frame of mind to use or have a point of reference with which to research and spit out the results that you're asking it for. Okay. Always tell it what role to play before you ask it what to do. Okay. Because remember, this is artificial intelligence. What do we as human beings do when we don't fully know something? We make it up, right? ChatGPT will make stuff up. So if you give it a specific role to play, give it a specific point of reference before making your request, all the better. And then for your request, be as specific as possible. Okay. So if you're researching, in my case, the economic ramifications and consequences of procrastination, then you ask it that. So one of my questions was, research the statistics on economic impacts of procrastination. What impact did that have on salaries? What impact did that have on company revenue or revenue losses? What impact did that have on employee self-esteem? These are 3 different results I asked it for. That way, the results were very specific. The statistical results were very specific. So when you're putting your prompts in, be as specific as possible. And at the top and at the bottom, Give it that point of reference. And here's another layer for your ChatGPT results or your Perplexity.ai results. If you need to give it a limit, a word limit or a length limit, put that at the top and at the bottom as well. You can say results no more than 300 words. Put it at the beginning of your prompt and at the very end of it. That way, ChatGPT is not spitting out paragraphs, because it tends to do that if you don't give it any limits. You're getting whole paragraphs. So set a word limit. It could be 50 words. It could be 100, whatever the limit is that you want, but tell it exactly, and it will spit out what you're asking it for. The more specific, the better. Have it do the research for you. That way you're not having to spend a day or 2 or 3 researching statistics on your own, which is why I also recommended Perplexity.ai. Because if for whatever reason you get frustrated with ChatGPT's results, Perplexity.ai is indeed more search engine accurate. It spits out more accurate results. So if you're talking about statistics and you don't want to bother with the gymnastics I just mentioned with ChatGPT, you can stick with Perplexity.ai, and it will also give you the link to the sources. ChatGPT does that as well. So when it does the results, it'll give you a little gray thing with the link for the website that it pulled it from. But be careful, because there are some results, and I have seen this with my own eyes, there are some results in which ChatGPT won't give you a source. So I'm giving you both options. That way, whichever one you want to use, you can use. But Perplexity.ai will give you a source every single time. Okay? So you have both of those options. The other way to use AI as a tool in your writing: do not make the mistake of having the AI write your book for you. This is a hot take from Melissa T, the procrastination bully. Other author guides will tell you otherwise. There are some who have trained their own AI and produce their own AI tool and sell that to you as part of their service. I do not recommend having AI write your entire book for you. There are tons of books in the marketplace now in which AI has written the books for the respective authors. And the quality is not nearly as good because the human element has been removed. You want your book and your story to sound like you. Your story is too valuable to be echoed and parroted by a machine. Let me say that. Your story is too valuable to merely be parroted by a machine. You paid a cost to experience what you experienced, and your experience is the very thing that separates you from AI. AI can do a lot of things. It can gather data. It can do sales now. Like, there are AI sales agents. People have been able to eliminate whole workforces because they have AI tools that can handle specific tasks. The one thing artificial intelligence cannot do is experience things. Only we as human beings can do that. And the entire purpose of you sharing your story with the world is to share your experiences and the lessons that you learned from them. That is what separates you from the machine. So here's the other way to use the AI tool aside from having it write your book for you. Have it be a sounding board for you. So say, for instance, you're aware of your target audience. Remember, we covered that during the foundation step. Maybe you're trying to say something and it doesn't quite come across in the way that even you want it to sound. And you want it to come across in a way that you know your reader will resonate with. That's when you can type in the idea, like type in the words or copy paste them into ChatGPT and say, use these words, rephrase these words to sound like or to reach, and then put in whatever your target audience is, your target reader. You copy paste the words in, skip a line, and then underneath that say, rephrase these words to appeal to this type of person and describe the type of reader that you want to reach. ChatGPT will rephrase it for you. It'll rephrase it for you. Or say, for instance, you have a chunk of content. You saw it in the screen share. Like there was a chunk of content there that was long, right? What you can have ChatGPT do for you is also summarize it. Say, for instance, you copy paste all of that. You did a recording. Perhaps it was a 10-minute recording. You can upload it to ChatGPT and say, okay, you have this file. I need you to summarize this in bullet points. ChatGPT will then kick out the relevant bullet points based on the content you told it to analyze. That is how you can use it to help you write your book. That is how you can use it to save time on formatting, to save time on thinking, because artificial intelligence is meant to be a second brain for us. That's the intention. So hopefully this helps you in the content creation phase. One other AI cheat code that I'll leave you with as I wrap up is using it to provide counterpoints for you. Say, for instance, from my book, since I'm writing a book on productivity, I can ask ChatGPT to come up with a counterpoint, something that can be debated. So say, for instance, I'm telling ChatGPT my opinion on something. So with the extreme execution flight assessment, my position is the extreme execution flight assessment is a powerful tool to help you learn self-awareness. And self-awareness is one of the most powerful weapons in beating procrastination. I can copy paste that into ChatGPT and then ask it, you are a Harvard level debate student. Or I can say, you are insert my target reader, right? Like the description for my target reader. Ask me some questions to counter this point. Ask me some questions that will debate the validity of that point. And then ChatGPT can pop out some questions that will make you think and cause you to dig deeper into your topic. That way you're leaving no stone unturned when your book is written. You're leaving no stone unturned with that topic. And one of the things that content is intended to do is overcome your audience's objections, whether that's videos like this, book content, written content via LinkedIn or a blog post or a podcast episode by audio. Content is intended to eliminate your audience's objections. So if you go over that with ChatGPT first, that way you can put it in your book. And as your reader's reading through it and the questions pop up, you're directly addressing the questions. Okay? So this week you heard me talk about the book building portion of the system. We've gone over the foundation. We've gone over that first pillar, which is the book blueprint, aka the outline and deadline. This week, this episode, we just went over the book building part, the actual creation of the content. Next episode, I'm going to be taking you through the polishing and presenting pillar, okay? That's going to involve your editing, your interior layout, the cover design, and the printing of the book, the binding of it, all that stuff. We're going to get into that part that comes after the manuscript is over, all right? So that's something you're interested in. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you found it valuable as well. But yeah, be sure to subscribe if you're on YouTube, you're watching this on YouTube. Subscribe at Getting the Win. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to subscribe there or hit follow. I'm on Spotify, so you can always catch me on the audio. And be sure to follow me on socials, on Pinterest, Instagram, and Threads at Getting the Win Show. All right? I look forward to sharing more of this information with you and unpacking all this stuff. So stick with me through this system. This is all helpful. And as a reminder, I go through the cohesive system all at one time during my Voice Fuel virtual writing workshop. It's coming up the last Tuesday in May from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So follow that link below. Go there. Be sure to register. It's also in the description if you can't see it on the screen, but be sure to click that link and register for this upcoming workshop where I go through the entire system in one session. That way it's cohesive and kind of whole for you, easy to understand. But in the meantime and between time, I hope you have a great and productive rest of your Wednesday and a great and productive rest of your week. Peace.